Well, we are on. Hi, everyone. Welcome to High Talks number 7. Once again, we are here for another talk, and this time we are bringing some UX insights. We are talking about UX design as a strategic tool for business value. We have Mitchell Clements with us today, and as always, our beautiful Natalie.
Yes.
So today the event will occur like this. As always, I will ask everyone to stay until the end of the event. If you have any type of questions, you can drop them on the live chat, and we will be more than happy to answer all of your questions. at the end of this event after Mitch and Natalie finish with their talk. And yeah, before we start, I will ask you all to drop us a like, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more content like this that we have prepared for you. We are intending on intensifying this type of high talks um, during the summer, and stay tuned for that. We have a lot of amazing guests to bring and to talk about this UX world. So, hi Mitch, hi Natalie. How are you both doing?
Very well, very
Doing
well.
great.
Okay. I see the enthusiasm and I like it. So, yeah, I will ask Natalie to start this. And yeah, let's start. Let's
Okay.
go.
So, welcome again to our High Talk. So, this is the show where we dive deep into the world of design, technology, and business, as we always share with you. Today, we will have our very special episode lined up for you, and we are honored to have Mitchell Clement to join us on the show. Mitchell is and Mitchell, if I said something that is not correct, please tell me. Is
Oh,
a product design career coach, speaker, storyteller, and a design leader with a health of experience in the world of UX. He is known for his insightful perspectives and practical advice for leveraging UX as a strategic tool for creating a business value. And so today, for the episode, we will explore how UX design can be more than just a functional necessity, how it can drive business success, foster innovation, and build customer loyalty. Mitchell will share his journey, his insights, and actionable strategies that businesses can do to harness the power of UX designers. So, if you are a business leader looking to enhance your company's strategic edge, or a UX designer, or simply someone that is interested in these intersections, sorry, I'm very dyslexic today. The design and the business. So this episode is for you. And now, Mitchell, thank you again for your time, for accepting being with us today. Uh, we don't know Mitchell personally, but well, we reach out to him for his experience, for his knowledge, and he was really approachable. So thanks. And well, to start our conversation, can you tell me, or can you tell us, to me and to the audience, about your background? How did you got started with UX?
Yeah, so thank you for letting me join the show today. With my background, I have a very multidisciplinary background. So throughout my career, I have been a developer, an engineer. I've
Oh wow.
also been a product manager, in addition to being a UX designer and UX researcher. And so currently, I am a product design manager at a company called Encino.
Mm-hmm.
I use that multidisciplinary background of product management and the business, and my technical skills with engineering, and my background with design and research. I use those different disciplines to help lead our company's product vision and strategy for one of our business units. And so that's kind of the perspective I bring with me. I believe there's tremendous synergy among all those disciplines. And when you really combine them together, that's when you start to unlock the value of design
Yeah,
and the
it's
value
really
of
powerful.
business and engineering.
Yeah, and tell me, what inspired you to focus on UX as as a strategic tool for, well, bring the business value to the business? What inspired
Yeah.
you most?
In my experience of being an engineer, product manager, and UX designer, what I notice is most often it's the user experience design and research discipline that is left out of the conversations, that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have a seat at the table. every company typically starts with engineers and has engineering leadership, and they have product managers and business leaders. But most businesses are missing that user experience, the UX element. And so that's what inspired me. I found the discipline to be the hardest because it's the least understood, the least represented. And so that's where I really wanted to dive in and untap that potential in the user experience discipline.
Yeah, I actually have a question about that. So,
Yeah.
how what is those misconceptions that business have about UX? But before, for the ones that don't know and the ones that actually don't know and want to talk about as well. How can we understand this concept of UX design and business, this context? How would you define this UX design in the context of business strategy? We know that, it's about creating a symbiotic relationship between user satisfaction and business success, and it involves understanding and addressing user needs while simultaneously achieve business goals. So, how can we do this? Bring those two concepts and make it work for the benefits of the companies.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, user experience, it encompasses all the aspects of an end user's interaction with a company, its services, its product. It's most popular in the mobile app and web app design interfaces, but it can extend beyond that and just all the interactions with your company. I think a lot of businesses have misconceptions about design and user experience. They see it often as the pixel polishers, the people that make things look pretty or look good. And I mean, sure, yeah, that's a small little sliver of what's often involved in user experience design. But that is just such a short-sighted perspective and viewpoint. And I think that's where a lot of businesses get stuck. They see the UX team as, okay, here's some requirements that we need for sales or a business leader. We need engineering to build this. But for them to build it, we need to know what it should look like, and we want it to look good. I think that's how most businesses view and utilize their UX and design departments. But I see it with a very different lens. I really see it, it's about understanding how to create value for your users, for your customers, which will ultimately create value for your business.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies, they're very desperate. It's a very tight market. They're trying to figure out, how do we increase sales? How do we decrease costs? What's going to be the next big thing that our customers will pay for? And they're often just, jumping off any trend, whether it's AI or they hear one customer wants one thing, so let's go build it. They build it and then find out nobody's using
And
it.
then it's wrong for their product and things like that, right?
Right. And so a major part of user experience design is first figuring out, are we building the right thing? Are we building something that users will use, that customers will buy? And then the other half of it is, once we know what they need, what will actually create value, are we designing it the right way? Are we building it the right way? It's very easy to say, we need a dashboard, or we need this feature, or we need to solve
an idea. Let's put them
right. Anyone can go to a whiteboard and write an idea, or go in a spreadsheet, or wherever companies put their feature list, their backlog. It's really easy to say, we need this. What's really hard, though, is to design it right, to design it in a way that users will know how to use it. They'll get excited about it. It'll actually meet them where they are, and they'll get value from it.
Yeah.
So that's where user experience design can come in and really drive value to the users and customers. which will ultimately drive value to the business.
Yeah, and that with that approach, we can have a big and positive impact in the cost efficient of a project, a big impact on increasing the customer loyalty and retention. That those things are things that usually for businesses are things that our clients are very worried about. So using UX as a methodology during the whole process will help them increase those gains in different areas, right?
Yeah. And I like how you said throughout the whole process.
Yeah.
Once again, going back to that mindset most companies have, they usually kind of view UX as a checklist step of I've literally had people reach out to me before and say, "Hey, can you do the UX for this? Can you do the UX for this project?" And usually what they mean is, can you go in a design tool like Figma and design the UI, the user interface, what it's going to look like, and hopefully make it accessible and user friendly. What I often find with those requests, though, is as I start asking why and digging into, well, where did this request come from? Who's the user? How do we know this is valuable? There's often a lot of assumptions in there.
Or
And
things like what do you want to achieve with this improvement, and then we can.
yes, most businesses can't clearly articulate the goals. I'll
Yes.
often ask, well, what are the goals? How will we know this is successful when we release it? And you often get an answer of, well, the success measurement is, did we release it? Did we build it? And I'll
Mhm.
start to kind of push back and say, well, I mean, sure, yeah, we'd have to build it, but how do we know if what we built was the right thing, if it's successful? Are we looking at adoption? Are we looking at user retention? Are we
Mhm.
looking at customers paying for a new feature? There's so many metrics you can unpack there. But before you jump to the success metrics and the solution, you first just really have to know, are users going to use it? What
Yeah.
validation do we have? Where's our data? Where's our research? Because it's very expensive to build the wrong thing. You could have an engineering team, a full team of 5 to 30 developers spend weeks or months or quarters building a feature. And then after all that energy and effort is spent, you find out we built the wrong thing or we built it the wrong way and it's not performing as we hoped. And that's where
Yes.
UX can come in. We can validate if people are going to use it in a matter of days. We can go and do research with users. We can go validate and test with prototypes. And we can create these prototypes in a matter of hours or days. We can create this end result, the illusion of the end result, and validate its value before having engineers build and develop it.
Yeah, I agree. It's well, the the topic about helping with the UX, the business taking data-driven decisions so that they don't create the wrong thing, right?
Yeah.
And well, we talk a little bit about misconceptions on businesses about UX design. We talked about the aesthetics, that UX design is just about the aesthetics, that UX design is an isolated task, that, well, something that we hear a lot, that it's optional, an optional step of the project. Mainly when our clients have a low budget, that it's something that could be one-time effort. We do this one time, and well, we have the answer for the rest of the project. You want to add anything about those misconceptions?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a misconception around the topics of research and data and design. I think when people hear research, they think of expensive.
Yes.
They hear research and they think, oh, we don't have time to do a 3 to 6 month research project. We have a timeline. We need to have this built and released in 3 weeks, or we need to have a team start on this in 2 weeks. And that's a misconception I'm typically trying to break down. Research doesn't always have to mean these large, expensive projects. We can do research in a matter of hours or days. And what you will benefit and save from that small amount of research is just so much in the long term of time and efforts that can be avoided, wasted in the wrong place. And I think that's a major misconception with user research. Most teams always think we don't have time for research. We don't have budget for research.
Let's jump to the development. And then
Yes, let's just build it and cross our fingers. And I mean, it's a misconception. You can do research, good quality research, in a matter of hours or days, as long as you know what the goals are, you know what you're trying to achieve. If you just create that space, just once again, hours or days, you can get so much benefit. And I've noticed as teams do that, they start to get addicted to research. They want more research. And so once again, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be long. You just have to have a clearly defined problem, clearly defined goals, and then an effective user researcher or UX team, and they can produce so much value for your business.
Yeah, I agree. And you talked a little bit about use the word impact. I would like to ask you, from your experience, the projects that you work on, the ones that you can talk about, of course, if you can share some examples on how UX design directly impacted business performance through your experience.
Yeah, that's a great question. I can share a few specific examples from a previous company I was at. It was a small basement startup, and it was quickly growing into a larger company. And so a lot of this was between when we had about 50 to 300 employees. During my journey with that company, I was coordinating a lot with other departments, such as sales, customer support, and engineering, because I wanted to understand, well, what were the business goals they were measuring? And as I was working with sales, I discovered some shocking truths. I found that our sales team had lost multi-million-dollar revenue opportunities because the look and feel of our product was lacking compared towards the competition.
Okay.
My experience talking with customer support, we started tagging, where are all of our issues coming in? People calling in, what are they complaining about? 30 to 50% of our customer support calls were stemming from usability issues.
And it's so important I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
go for it.
Something really, really important that happens a lot, that sometimes in projects, teams don't care for the support information, that the support teams, the information that they have. And it's so important, it's so rich, the kind of insight that we can collect from those teams. They can help us to understand a lot of the problems, and some things could be hard to solve, but some of them are really simple to solve and can bring a lot of revenue to our companies, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if we zoom in on that example, the customer support calls, you can start to measure how much that's costing the company.
Yeah.
You look at, well, how many customer support representatives do we have? How much are we paying them? How much time are they spending on these phone calls? And in addition to that, how much frustration is that creating for our customers and our users? And I find that, companies often think, oh, we have all these support issues, so let's just create more documentation. Let's create another FAQ. Let's just, create more instructions. But that doesn't solve the problem. Most users, they don't go read your documentation. They're not reading in the first place. They didn't come to use your product so they can look up your documentation. They
Mhm.
came there to solve a problem. And that's where user experience design and research can help. We can often figure out, well, okay, they're not reading the documentation, but we can redesign this so they don't need the documentation.
Yeah.
And dig in deep and figure out, why are they confused? Why are they calling support? Why can't they figure this out on their own? And it's often very easy and simple for the majority of those things. And so we can go in, we can redesign those or fix those. Sometimes it's just tiny tweaks, just changing the label of a button.
Of
or
something that is not clear, right?
Right, like things that you can have a developer do in less than an hour, and now you just save the company 200 support calls that month. And that really starts to add up over time. And so when
Mhm.
we saw that 30 to 50% of these customer support calls were stemming from usability issues, well, we were able to go in and reduce that dramatically. And that saved the company an incredible amount of money, of time, and simultaneously built a better brand for ourselves, a better perception from our users and customers. And that's just with some small usability tweaks and fixing things. And once again, going back to that example of sales losing multi-million-dollar revenue opportunities, that one ended up being a larger project. There were some things that we needed to do that took about 3 to 4 months. But after we made the changes and enhancements, well, now we were winning multi-million-dollar revenue opportunities. We were empowering our sales team to sell a better product that our customers and users wanted and needed. And those are just a few examples of how we reduce support calls, how we help sales win more deals. We've also helped our development team be 20 to 30% more efficient by implementing a design system. So every time they're building a new page or interface in our website or mobile app,
See, yeah.
yeah, instead of starting from scratch, we had a whole component library they could reuse. And that was saving them a significant amount of time, which once again, engineers can be expensive. When you look at the salaries and how many engineers a company needs, if you can make them 20 to 30% more efficient, you start to save a lot of time and money for the business. And so those are just some examples of what user experience research and design can do. Those examples are with helping other departments, and there's so many different ways that they can help the business achieve its goals.
And taking those examples to show to our C-level teams, how can we show with numbers that impact? What metrics can we use to measure the impact of UX on the business value? Taking the example that you are using about the commercial teams and the support teams, do you have any tips or any examples to share?
Yeah, my biggest recommendation is I frequently just scheduled a meeting directly with the CEO, directly with the C-level leaders of the company. And in these interviews, I asked them, what are the company goals? What are your goals? What's keeping you up at night? What are you concerned or worried about? And you'll often get a lot of very in-depth answers, and it's going to change from department to department. But I'll often look at all these other departments and their goals in sales and marketing, engineering, product, support. And you can start to identify the opportunities where user experience design can make a big impact. And so that's kind of what I did in that scenario. I knew everyone's mind was on sales. It's often, every business, ultimately, the business metrics are going to come down to new revenue and costs. Are we making more money and are we spending less money? Every other goal is pointing towards those goals, whether it's marketing, getting new leads, or engineering being more efficient, or whatever it is, increasing adoption of our products, looking at funnel rates. There are infinite metrics out there, but I usually start with, well, what is the business most concerned about? What are the top metrics that are on people's minds? And then I start to map how can UX design and user experience research contribute towards those goals. I start to identify those leading metrics that we can measure where we're helping the company be successful.
And I was thinking, well, you were talking about you set up a meeting with with the C-level teams of your company, and you try to define, try to understand the business goals and how you can translate that to your UX design roadmap to help the business. What would be taking this first step, what would be other steps that we can do to align our UX design efforts with their business goals to improve the overall revenue of a company?
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of relationship building, and it doesn't just have to be a design leader talking with leaders of the business. You can have individual designers and researchers, even at the junior or entry level. They can start talking to their engineering partners, their product managers. They can start building relationships with people in marketing or finance, HR, legal, wherever. If you are just building those relationships in the company, you'll start to see opportunities where UX design can support and help. You start to understand the ecosystem, the big picture. And so I highly recommend, relationship building is such a crucial part with other departments. Now, in addition to that, as a UX discipline, you don't just have to rely on other departments or help other departments with their agendas. You can create your own agenda, your own goals, your own unique perspective on what the company needs. Because often none of those departments are thinking about things like accessibility or usability or so many other things. And that's where you can step in and fill that missing gap. What I have often found in my experience is a lot of companies don't really have a user experience vision. They don't really know, where's the company going in 5 years? What's that experience going to be like? Companies will have bless you.
Sorry.
Most companies will have just they'll have roadmaps. We know what we're going to build in the next 3 to 6 months. Maybe they have a wish list of what we'll get to in this year and next year, but it's just a list of features. They don't really know what's this cohesive experience going to be like, from the information architecture to the navigation of the platform, the look and the feel, the end-to-end user experience, and how all those different user journeys overlap.
Or for example, taking into consideration the set of measurable UX metrics and follow through the results of those measurements and prioritize and change and iterate, taking into consideration the impact that those measurements or those results are having on the business.
Yes, exactly. And so I think as a user experience discipline, you can come in with your own agenda. You can create your own metrics that you feel are important to the business. You can create a product vision and user experience strategy, in addition to supporting all the other departments with the higher level goals. But you can also have your own strategy and vision.
Yeah, and use that agenda as well to promote a user-centric culture, bring the other teams to UX activities and making them part of what whatever we are building in the company, so that everyone feel responsible for the user experience that our customers are having with our products.
Exactly.
So, and to continue about challenges and solutions. Besides, those strategies that you are sharing with us, what would be some common challenges business that you can face or that you faced from your experience trying to leverage the UX design strategically? Because we are talking about ideally we will do this and bring everyone together and measure our activities and the impact. What could be the challenges that we can face trying to leverage those this UX design strategically in a company?
Yeah. So once again, most companies view UX as a checklist, as a step in the process, or a lot of companies don't even have a UX discipline. And so you do have to start somewhere. You're not going to be able to overnight suddenly have metrics and budget and access to users and a vision and strategy, but you do have to start somewhere.
It's a step-by-step process.
Yes, and when I'm talking about these, some of those success metrics that we were mentioning before, a lot of those were multi-year efforts. A lot of people are just hoping, we'll just suddenly step in and everything will transform overnight. There are some small things that can transform overnight. Once again, like those usability issues, you can make one little tweak and suddenly you are saving the company from 300 support calls a month.
Yeah, we can break it down in little improvements and prioritize steps. Even if a company has limited resources or budget constraints, we can adapt our approach to have little achievements through the end big goal.
Exactly. And so, there are actionable things research and design teams can start doing where the company will immediately feel the benefit, the effects. And I recommend to most design and research teams out there, identify those opportunities. Because if you focus on those, often referred to as quick wins, but I want to change it to impactful wins, things that are actionable, things where you can immediately have an impact, and then you can share that with the business. If you show the data, any data that you have, if you can use storytelling, you can start to communicate the impact of those small tweaks and show the improvement, the change that it created. And that helps you to start building momentum. Once you get momentum, starting from those research projects that are done in hours, they'll start to shift to have opportunities to do research projects that take days and then weeks and maybe even months. But you can start with the hour projects. You can start with the small tweaks, build momentum, build trust. A lot of organizations, they're scared to invest money. They're very focused on making safe decisions. They're scared to hire more people because they don't know if the company is going to grow. So if you can show what you can achieve with just a small discipline or a small unit of researchers and designers, you'll start to build that trust and you'll start to build those relationships. And then that will help you get the next designer, the next researcher. It'll create kind of the snowball effect where it starts getting momentum and then you can grow your UX function, which means you can impact even larger initiatives and make larger changes for the business.
For example, I don't know in your context if you have worked with the big teams with a lot of resources. Can you share some strategies for getting leadership buy-in for UX initiatives? like educate, to inform? What kind of activities do you have in your reality to have this buy-in from your leadership?
Yeah, so what I find often a big part of it is trust and relationships. And you can do things totally unrelated to design to build that trust and those relationships with those leaders just by being a dependable person.
Sometimes
Ask
it's a
them-
little bit like a politician work, right?
Well, honestly, there's a lot of negative connotations with the phrase business politics. You can call it whatever you want. At the end of the day, that is what it is. It's a lot of politics. You are campaigning. You're
Yeah.
trying to get people to vote for you or follow you. And, think about, a lot of politicians, especially when we look at smaller politics, local community politics, they often don't have the big budget. They often, all the support they have is their friends and family. And yet a lot of them are able to be successful. They're able to sell a vision. They use storytelling. They show their personality, that they are a reliable person, that they understand. As they get bigger, yeah, maybe they'll start to have a budget. They'll start to have more data and numbers to back their decisions, and they're very transparent with their goals.
Mhm.
You apply that same mindset, whether you're in a small
Part
startup.
of the project and the goals, right? Yeah.
Right. And you can do it at any level. You can do it just on your team level,
Mhm.
just your engineers and product manager, or you can do it at the large business level from department to department. It doesn't matter your size, if you're a big or small company, if you're focusing on a small team or multiple departments, there are things you can do to start somewhere. And it's almost always those relationships, the storytelling, showing the before and after, the impact of your work. If you just start to do those things wherever you are, you'll build that trust, you'll build that momentum.
Yeah. And well, it seems like we started 5 minutes ago, but we almost at the end. And I would like to ask you as well, and for you to share your opinion about the future UX design in businesses. What do you think would be, or how do you see the shaping of the future of UX design as a strategic tool for business?
Yeah. So when we think about the future, compared to where we're at in the present, right now, the UX industry has been going through a rough time.
Yes.
The economy in general. There's been a lot of layoffs, a lot of deprioritization of UX initiatives and efforts. What you're going to see is the companies that aren't investing in UX design, they're going to lose their competitive edge.
Yeah.
Their users will be less satisfied with their products. They'll be more frustrated. And meanwhile, startups, they're going to start rising. They're already rising right now. Ones that invest in UX, they're there to solve the pain points of the customer and user in real, valuable ways. They're going to start to displace these larger, bigger companies. In some industries, it will take a matter of months or years. In some other industries, it might take a longer time, maybe 5 or 10 years or decades. Regardless, though, what you're going to see is a lot of these companies that aren't investing in UX, they're going to struggle. They're not going to be as competitive. They're going to lose customers and users over time because they're going to be choosing companies that invest in users, in them, the customer. And so those products will start to take over these larger companies, and those will be the ones hiring UX designers and researchers. They'll be the one with mature user experience cultures. They'll be making data-driven decisions and research-backed decisions. And so I do believe, it's going to take time. There's a lagging effect.
Yes.
But, it is a rough time right now. That's just the reality. But it's not permanent. There's going to be a resurgence. in the UX discipline, the UX industry. Now, that being said, the titles will probably change. The tools we use will change. They're always changing. And designers will have to keep adapting. They'll have to keep getting new skills. They'll have to work on their business skills, their storytelling skills, building relationships with others. But those core skills of user research and interaction design, those aren't going away anytime.
And these universal design principles, if we have one tool or another tool, those, and we can see that through over the years they keep the same, and we can continuously to apply them and improve the experience, if it's something using AI or if it's something to write something on the paper. The experience and those principles will keep the same.
Right. And it doesn't matter if you're designing for AI or virtual reality, those core principles and methodologies are the same. Now, they're going to sound different. They're going to have new names and new labels, and new diagrams will emerge, and books and everything. And they're going to all claim this is new. If you strip back all the branding, all the marketing, all the titles and labels and tools, it's going to be the same skill set. And so it's really important to focus on that. There will be lots of trends, and it's always great to be aware of them, to understand them. But if you strip them all back, it's those essential core principles and values that help companies be successful.
Yeah. And Mitchell, for our final thoughts or insights, would you like to share with our audience about the strategic importance of UX design, like a sum up of what we talked about today?
Yeah. So if there's a few takeaways I could have here, especially if there are any business leaders listening to this, what I want to emphasize is I'm not saying UX is the most important thing in a business. However, what I want to clearly articulate is UX in about 90 to 95% of scenarios is underutilized. Businesses aren't getting the full value and return on investment that they could be getting. And so, UX design, it's just as important as engineering or sales or marketing or any other department. It's an equal partner with all of those other business functions. And if you invest in it, if you utilize it, you will see that return on investment. You will see that value creation for your users and your customers. And you'll start to see why it's such an integral department and discipline at very successful companies like Apple and Google and countless others that I can name off. A lot of these big tech companies that lead the industry. A huge reason why they're successful is because they don't ignore their users. They don't ignore user research. They don't ignore the value in this discipline and making it a co-equal partner with all the other departments. And so when you do invest in that, that's when you start to get the strategic benefit and value from user experience discipline.
Yeah, we should advocate for companies to bring UX to the course of a project at the beginning, before they have defined ideas or defined solutions, because those methodologies can help to find a solution or work through a solution faster, quickly, and more assertive solution to their end goals, even if it's gain revenues, gain more users, reach other countries. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. There's, each business is going to have its goals, and you're
Yes.
going to need tools for those goals. UX research, the UX discipline is one of those tools that you can utilize, and you want to utilize it correctly. You want to get the most benefit out of that tool, out of that resource, and that's when you'll start to see the value.
Yeah, that's it. Mitchell, I don't have any more questions for you. I don't know, João, if you want to take in and
Yeah. This is the time for the ones at home that are watching us. If you have any type of questions, drop them on our live chat. We will answer them to you in this period. Like we are now on the Q&A part of the show. But yeah, before we have questions from the audience, if they have some. I also have here like 3 questions I wanted to ask you, Mitchell.
Yeah.
The first being, before I start, let me just congratulate the both of you for this amazing talk.
thanks.
I think that the ones at home really got it. And I guess that like the questions that they may have are not about the quality of the talk. So yeah, let me ask you this, Mitch and Natalie. When you have conflicting opinions and limited resources, how do you prioritize UX improvements? How can that be done?
Yeah, my personal thoughts are when you have conflicting opinions, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's good to have a healthy amount of tension or conflict because you want everyone to bring their perspective to the table. Now, something that UX designers are very skilled at is collaboration, navigating those opinions, whether it's through conversations or a workshop. You can start to see, by asking why. Why is that your perspective? Where is the data coming from? Or what is the assumption there? As you start to break down the why behind diverse opinions, you'll start to get to a common ground. You'll start to really empathize and understand what everyone's concerned about. And you can work towards a compromise. You can work towards a solution that makes users happy, that makes the business happy, that is feasible and can be built on time. But it takes conversations and understanding.
Yeah, I would answer better than that. I agree that this is an opportunity to bring the teams together, to bring the different opinions. Go back to the goals that we established at the beginning, or if we didn't establish any goals at the beginning, try to establish now to see, okay, are we answer to that with that solution? Are we not? So how can we change? And go from there to establish a group vision, the same vision that what we want to achieve.
Okay. Thanks. I think I got it right. I think that the ones at home also got it right. And I am assuming that the second question I have here will have a similar question, will have a similar answer. And it's about small business and startups. Like, how can they, when, as we may presume, have limited resources, begin to incorporate UX design principles in an effective way? How can that be done?
Imagine that we are like a team of one. How then we go to that process, right?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, I've been in that scenario. I've been a team.
Okay.
It's not for everyone. As a design team of one, you're going to be wearing a lot of hats and doing a lot of things. But once again, when we talk about the UX discipline and the things that are done that discipline, from research and ideation and design and validation, once again, it doesn't have to be large, massive projects. You can be agile, you can move quickly, you can partner to figure out what research have we already done in marketing and customer support. You can work together with other departments. The UX discipline isn't the only one doing UX. Every decision the company makes affects the user experience.
Yeah.
From the quality assurance of what's being coded and released, from how the customer support department functions and addresses users' pain points and problems, to what sales is trying to sell. Every decision, every action being made at a company, whether it's a startup or large company, it's all impacting the user experience. And so I think just being aware of that and making those micro tweaks and adjustments to align it in a positive, constructive way can really start to have a large impact.
Okay.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Me too. I have to agree. Yeah.
Experience.
Okay. So, as we still don't have questions from the audience, I will ask you my final question that I have here for the both of you, and it's about accessibility. You have covered accessibility during the talk, and I wanted to ask you this about the accessibility. What role does it play in UX design and strategically speaking, and how can businesses ensure that their products are inclusive regarding accessibility?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the things that the UX discipline really specializes in is doing user research, meaning you're there's multiple types of research. Also, often if you are validating your own product, you're doing what's called user testing. And you can go do a test with your product with a user who is blind, with a user who, there's so many different ways you can help your product be more accessible. And when you go and talk to the people actually using it, the people who might have those different needs, that's when your eyes can really start to open and see, oh, we thought as a company we were checking the box for accessibility. And yet here we are testing it with users who have these different needs and situations, and it's not accessible for them. And so as a UX discipline, you can bring those insights back. And obviously, there's just some quick, easy wins that you can even do without research, just checking the contrast in your platform, making sure everything can be navigated through a keyboard, making sure the colors you're using are accessible. There's a lot of easy things you can do, but you can also go and just talk to those end users and watch them try to use your product. And that's going to reveal a lot of the gaps, a lot of the things that you are missing in your platform to make it accessible for all.
Yes, and I would like to add, as we were talking at the beginning of our conversation, that UX, it's not a step during a process in a project. Accessibility is the same thing. It's not a step that you go and check at some step of your project. It's something that you need to have in consideration during all the process of your project. And most of the companies have or should take this in consideration strategically, because we need to be compliant with some guidelines and some rules. And if we do not, if our companies are not compliant with those rules, our users or part of our users will not be satisfying with our product, are stopping using it, and we are not going to grow our business. And it can have impact on I don't know how to say the word in English, multas, João, help me,
Fines.
please.
Fines.
If we are not compliant with those specific rules. So it's not just about a check that I do because I need to do, but it's about the integrity of our users and, well, the face of our business as well. So it's an important goal to have in consideration as well.
Sure. Yeah.
It's serious. Sorry.
No. Okay, so as we mark an hour into our high talk today, and since we didn't have any questions from the audience, let me just tell the ones at home that are watching this right now live or are watching this on demand on our YouTube channel, you can still drop your questions on the comment section of this video later on. Me, Mitch, or Natalie will be more than happy to answer all of your questions that you may have watching this on demand. And yeah, let me thank you, Mitch. Let me thank you, Natalie, for taking this time to do this with us. Thanks for the ones at home who stood by till the end and really got the insights that this amazing talk brought to you. And yeah, I don't know if you feel like doing a part 2 about this topic in the future or not, but in the meantime,
great.
yeah, I think that we'll have a lot. We have a lot of content to do a part 2 about this. So
There's so much more I could say in so little time, but very good for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks so much, Michelle, for your time. It was great. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And stay tuned for our YouTube channel and the high talks we have coming up for you in the future for the high masterclass that we are presenting next week. And for the ones that who the day are ending, have a nice rest. And for the ones that are starting the day like Mitchell is starting, have a nice day. And see you soon, everyone. Thanks a lot. And bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for your time.